don't get coronavirus in your heart.
Let's do it.
It's the bass. LOSO__G.
Deacon, the engineer.
Hi everyone, I'm Lola, also known as Tyro, in the Tyro and Kenneth duo.
Darian Beckles, actually known as Beckles in the book, but I'm also, the writer.
And I'm Dupe. I am Kende, the second duo in the book, and Kende is a younger twin in Yoruba culture.
Oh, that's very interesting. I named my classroom Omanera based off freedom from Yoruba culture.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
Yo, so I'm really glad y'all did a kids book. Just because I think this is dope. So funny thing, right? Because I ordered it off Amazon and it only has 2 pictures. So when I saw this, I thought it was gonna be like a kids book, like for a younger crowd, like a picture book or something like that. Mm-hmm. And then I get this and I'm like, oh shit, this is homework.
Yo,
this is Brooklyn Tech homework, bro. Like,
I was like, wow.
Holy shit.
I gotta read.
I know we had the same thing actually. Folks told us that, oh wow, we thought it was going to be like a picture book, like a 30-page picture. Like, no, this is a novel. This is awesome.
Can we be the stars in your next book?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
No.
We made it. Yeah.
No.
We could be the actors too. So, what's the origin story behind this? Like, how'd ya decide to actually do this? Because I've been trying to do anything with any of my relatives, and that shit is hard as hell. And y'all managed to pull this out, especially with your Buddha. That's power couple. That's goals right there. So I'm trying to make my family like y'all.
So I'll take this one first. I feel like, well, Lola and I, we're twins, so we've probably been having conversations from in the womb about starting something together. But I would say maybe about 3 or 2 years ago, about 2-3 years ago, we were kind of just talking about it would be fun if we did some project together. We could combine like our upbringing, and then Darian, Lola's husband, is a writer, so we're like, this might be a really good opportunity for us all to collaborate on something. I think we're just like sitting down probably one afternoon, exchanging ideas. And something that we've all been like talking about a lot lately and passionate about is financial independence, and like wealth creation, especially for our communities, right? So like, how great would it be if we could write a book that would feature all of those things, but for kids? Because we were like, we didn't have that kind of education as a kid, but we wanted it to be fun. So we're like, hey, let's write a book. And Darian, we're like, you as a writer, you can be like the writing force behind it, and we could kind of tap into elements of all of our childhoods actually in Brooklyn in the book, and then that's how we kind of got started.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, this was I want to say this was in like 2018 when we actually started to develop the plot. And then Darren here with the nice creative writing skills was able to put all of those thoughts and ideas on paper. And then talk about that process.
Yeah, well, the way I approached it was, of course, there was a message of financial literacy, and there are also these 2 interesting characters here. I've known them for many years, and like I noticed their relationship was very interesting. And if you read the book, like the way they communicate with each other, like they are inseparable, right? They'll tell you they're each other's best friends, right? They don't need anybody else. You know what I mean? So,
is this real life? Is this really how you 2 are?
I would say, yeah. Even though they're in DC now and I'm in Brooklyn, we're probably on the phone several times over the course of the day, right, Lola?
Yeah, I don't think it's ever a day or a particular time of day that we hadn't had any conversations, right? Yeah. I don't think so. We all the time.
Y'all can't speak telepathically like y'all doing sometimes?
You sound our language.
Oh my God, your own language? Get out of here.
Yeah, they definitely have their own inside corny jokes, like only they can laugh at. I don't know what's going on.
Of course, of course.
But so the way I approached it, I write a lot of fantasy novels, and I read a lot of fantasy, and I read a lot of sci-fi. And I heard, we would always discuss financial literacy. This is something I had no idea anything about. I grew up, I didn't learn a lot of like the basic financial literacy knowledge. So, my wife told me stuff. my sister-in-law would tell me stuff, and we decided one day, I'm gonna write. Let's write a novel, but let's make it entertaining. Let's make it more of like a real life adventure story, right? Where we can have relatable characters of color, where we can set it in a place that anybody who grew up in Brooklyn can relate to, and let's teach these lessons as we're entertaining kids. Like if you read a novel, you'll see like you'll see the similarities between like the Children of Blood and Bone and all other fantasy novels.
I was just about to bring that up, bro.
Yeah.
I was just about to bring that up. I'm reading that right now.
Yeah. And that actually inspired a lot, right? Like the way I wrote out the scenes and the plot line, I made it a real like financial literacy, entrepreneurship, adventure story.
Mm-hmm.
And the characters, they have the distinct superpowers. One, they're both very, 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 very willful. Like they have a lot of willpower, and they each face like different obstacles. Right? They're realistic obstacles, but the way I approached it is as if like Frodo and Bilbo, were traveling, to Mount Doom to face, the Eye of Sauron, basically. But instead of it's
I don't know anything about what Darren just said. Our style?
How we're twins.
They don't know what I'm talking about. They don't know, but it's a real adventure story. Like these two characters, they're two heroes that anybody can relate to. You read a lot of articles these days about a lot of kids, especially young Black, Latino, Asian kids starting their own businesses. Like there seems to be a boom, especially with the internet. It's easier for kids to start businesses now. And so that's the way I frame the story, right? A relatable story that's an adventure where you can actually learn financial literacy and entrepreneurship while being able to relate to these two characters. So, yeah.
So I'm actually curious. I have a question for you. How did you, two-tier question. How did you, I know you're into fantasy, but how did you translate your love of consuming fantasy into the desire to create your own? Like, what was that process like, or what was your journey in that regard? Like, how did that happen?
Of course, there's I wouldn't say it's cliche, but I know a lot of Black nerds, Black geeks out there who always talk about how there's not enough content. There's not enough relatable content for, Black people who love this stuff, right? Like we watch anime, we watch cartoons. Like most of our favorite superheroes are not Black. Most of our favorite anime and movies, action stars, like it's not. You can't.
One comment about the anime thing. Did you watch Full Metal Alchemist?
I did watch Full Metal Alchemist. Yeah.
Because he used transmuting a wall in the first chapter. And I thought that might have been related to Full Metal Alchemist, just because the use of transmuting.
Right.
That was it.
Right.
That was it.
Actually, yeah. The reference, yeah. Actually, yeah. And that's the funny thing. See.
I knew it.
I swear, Lola thinks I'm making some of this stuff up. Like she's like, okay, you can top of your head. But I'm like, no, like
real life people like anime, other than my husband and Darren.
Yeah. And my brother-in-law, Dupe's husband, big anime guy too.
Oh yes.
So how I came about it was just a desire to, rather than sit down and complain like, oh, there are no relatable characters out there for. Why don't I just create my own? Why don't I just create my own universe where you have these two kids and they have this superpower of will and financial literacy and and education and they're just genuinely good kids. And why not just go create it? Why not just write it down?
Okay, definitely.
Yeah.
And I guess the second part of my question is, how did you take? Because you mentioned that you were you were learning about financial literacy, I guess, as you were writing the book. What's the process of taking something that you're not familiar with and integrating it into something that you are? Like, you can answer it generally or how it relates to this particular project, however you want,
So this is where Taiwan Kende come in, right?
Exactly. For me,
that's where they come in.
So I would say probably for me and Dupe, we took a lot of that responsibility to teach ourselves a lot of these financial literacy concepts, you know, because we know knowledge is power. And it, Dupe has a love of reading. Like, she's been reading since she was so young. I have a love of reading. And I also, you know, I not that I want to say I love money, but eventually, like, I would like to be rich. Right?
I love money, but I would like a lot of it.
Hey, that's the saying. It's like you don't love money, but you don't hate it.
Exactly. Welcome in my home, right?
Exactly. So it's basically like arming. So me and Dupe, we've always tried to arm ourselves with that knowledge. Like, how do we increase wealth, right? We didn't grow up with money. Our parents didn't have money. Our parents came here from Nigeria. You know, they started here and they took care of us, right? But for us, we want to make sure that for our children and for generations to come, we could have that generational wealth. So we took that upon ourselves and teach ourselves, learn what's out there, saving, budgeting, and all the different kind of things, like bank. What do you do with a bank? What are the different interest rates? Like, how do you buy a house? Like, we went through all that. Like, I have a house, we have a house, went through that journey together. So I think with us, we were able to kind of teach Darian and kind of explain, hey, these are the financial concepts that we want it to be weaved into the story. Dupe, I don't know if you're going to add to that too.
Yeah, and I think we kind of went back and forth a couple of times about our target age group, because we had to kind of keep that in mind. Like, we weren't going to start talking about like all these advanced financial concepts for a book that's meant for like an 11-year-old. Uh-huh. We kind of kept it basic. Things like how do you create a budget? How do you save money? How do you start a business? Things that are basic, but that's still really important, I think, to expose children to from that age, right? Because that age, you'll start to become really comfortable with this idea that, like, I too can start a business. Like, I too can be responsible with the money that I make. You know, I too can start to save a little something and help my family. So to start integrating those concepts from that age group, we felt like was really important, because that'll set the foundation for, you know, as they get older, to then delve into more like advanced things around finance. So I would say, like, some of the concepts that we had in the book, it's not like if Darren didn't know them, right? Like, Darren knows what savings is, right? But I think we kind of all had to like agree on what, like, how like advanced we want the concepts to be, and then how to weave it in a way in a story that it's not like folks are sitting down reading a textbook about finance, right? Like, you won't see anything on the cover saying like financial literacy. It's like, and you know, by doing it, you know.
That's actually funny, because I think this is great for teachers, because if somebody tried to lie about reading this, they're going to talk about the wedding, and they're not going to, that's how you know they didn't read the book, because they're going to keep talking about the wedding and stuff like that.
Right, exactly.
I mean, I think that's good, because I've noticed like the primary difference between, I guess wealthier people who grew up wealthy and people who didn't grow up wealthy, like, you know, people who grew up poor or middle class or working class or whatever you call it. It's the exposure, right? So you wrote a book that could teach kids things that they're not getting from their environment, from their parents, not even from their schools, right? And I think that's really important, because I know people who've grown up in wealthy households, and I actually work in personal finance, and a lot of our clients are fairly wealthy. One thing that people don't realize, what sort of perpetuates the wealth gap, is just exposure. Like, parents are talking to their kids about money, not even necessarily trying to educate them, but it's just a part of the conversation. Like, they're talking about mortgages, they're talking about stocks and bonds, and it's not even in this, you know, it's not even a way that we're going to educate our kids. It's just a part of their life. And I think having a book like this, just inserting it, you know, into the lives of kids in a way that's digestible, I think that's really important. And I think, you know, that's one of the main things that we could do to, you know, sort of arm ourselves and allow, you know, not perpetuate the cycle of poverty, you know, for us to have something, for our kids to have something in the future. So I think that's really important.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like we felt that too, like growing up. Not like our families were like so terrible with money, but they you know, came to this country and they had like a lot of other things that they had to like focus on, right? Like, first being able to integrate into the culture, finding work, you know, taking care of their families. So, you know, I think there's a lot of things we learned from them from that. Like, we learned, you know, work ethic, We learn, that you really need to like work hard if you want to be successful. But just even hearing things about like stocks and bonds, hearing your parents talk about that, like we didn't get the benefit of that, right? Like you were mentioning, it's not like if they're, our parents were able to say, hey, we're going to have a conversation about finance, right? A, they don't have the time, but then B, also they probably didn't even really, that's not in their lexicon, really. It's not in their terminology. So it's not like if we even get that through osmosis, in a way. We have to seek that information out. So yeah, I think it would be great for kids to just be exposed as much as possible to that.
And to play off that, I know growing up in my family, even the basic concepts that Dupe mentioned, we introduced in the first book, the adults in my family, they never practiced savings when it comes to just like, sacrificing, wants for needs, you know what I'm saying? So like that type of thing, for me and my family, I never really was exposed to that until I became an adult, well, pretty much until I met her, right? Like the basic concept of it weren't introduced to me as a kid. Like it was just, you get money, you spend it. You get money, you spend it. And there's something in the Caribbean community called make do, right? It's like a make do mentality. We're just going to make do, right? We get money and whatever comes. Whatever, if there's a bill, if there's some debt, we're going to worry about what we want, and then we'll make do with whatever later on. And that's the kind of mentality that was I inherited from my family. And I noticed it's not just me. Like there are other people, Black people, right, like me, that have said the same thing. Like I didn't learn the basics. I wasn't taught the basics. The basics weren't, preached to me as a kid. So, and I see the cycle, basically, being inherited by kids and, and they teach their kids the basics and it's hopefully that breaks it.
Yeah. Knowledge is the big inheritance. I think what I'm finding more and more, it's because, money comes and goes. It is what it is, but the knowledge is the real inheritance. That's what I've been finding out more and more.
Yep.
You know what's crazy? Even after like going to a school like Brooklyn Tech, which I didn't know was a good school till like after, it's like I felt like I didn't know shit when I started college, and then when I left college and I went out into the real world, I knew I didn't know shit, and it's just crazy how big of a disconnect. Just the things we learn. But personal finance, especially, because like I find myself, I learn a lot of things from Ed Boy because he's my roommate, and he knows he's my go-to finance guy. But I also find myself, having to teach my parents stuff too. Just like the lingo, just very, very, very basic things, and it's like, it just is what it is. It's just where we're starting.
Yeah, I come from a Caribbean background too. My father still has that mentality of just make do. He's also looking for like the cutting of the corners and the fast, like cheaper Wi-Fi, cheaper TV, hotspots. And I'm like, bro, just pay for the convenience. Like, and he's just looking for a way to find a way around. And it's like you got to get out this mindset. Like, the way things are set up now, you're not even allowed to cheat the system because you'll get caught, and then you'll lose more when you try to cheat the system. So it's like. So you gotta cut that out.
It all catches up to you. You get a lot of short-term gains and long-term gains. That's when it comes to finance.
Every time.
Yeah, I think it's primarily the scarcity mentality, scarcity versus abundance. Some people are just raised to believe that there's always more, right? So they're not worried about making do. I think a lot of it is, it has to do with the material conditions that we grew up in, I think that has a lot to do with it. It really affects your mentality. Like, even if you intellectually know that there's more out there, I could get rich, there's always like your lived experience doesn't necessarily align with that. So you kind of like default to that. So it does take a lot of work to sort of get out of that mentality,
Yeah, I would say like the make do mentality. It was probably necessary.
Yeah.
Certain like generations to have that mentality when they first, let's say, got to this country, right? Because that, is what kind of kept them going, gave them like hope, that they were like, we can make do. We'll get this next paycheck we'll pay these bills, and then we'll worry about the next thing when that thing comes. But, you know, for their children, that's not something that you want to pass on, right? Because now their children have access to things that their parents didn't have access to, and they have a lot more opportunity. So then we would want them to switch from that make do mentality, but the abundance mindset, right? Like, so now my parents, they had to just make do, but I can do so much more than that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It takes tons of time for me, but a lot of my lesson plans are couched within economic relevant pedagogy as well as cultural relevant pedagogy. So a lot of the teachings that I like. So your book is gonna like help me so much because it's gonna allow me to, like Elwin said, make it a palpable space for the students to enter and be comfortable with these terms, because the terms sound daunting. So it's like to be able to teach it, it makes it much more difficult. But with this, I can kind of.
What grade level do you teach?
I have first graders, but I have this mindset that you can teach anybody anything.
Yeah,
you can teach anybody anything, no matter the age. So yeah. I've been mostly sitting with game theory, resources, investment with my first graders, and they're grasping it more and more. So hopefully, by the time they reach 5th and 6th grade, it'll be a mindset of attacking this economic space without fear.
Game theory, holy shit, bro! Like that's a hard ass class in college. I know people who took game theory.
Are you sure your kids are first grade?
Nah, I'm sure.
Well, you'll be excited about working on another book for a younger age group.
Yeah.
It's not going to be as long as the one, Jose, as the one you held up, but
no,
it might be targeted for the younger age group. Yeah, and it's going to actually have a lot more like finance related like stuff in it. Like it's going to be like really more focused on that. But again, we want it to be like fun, we want it to be colorful, like pictures, and something that really resonates with kids.
Well, yeah, definitely let me know. Whatever I can use as a teaching tool, the better.
Yeah,
of course.
So that's dope. So yeah, making another book. So like, what's the
well, there's
what's
two
the goal for this empire? 2 more books.
Yeah.
Media pipeline. So, Darren, you want to talk about the part 2 for Taiwan?
Yeah. So I'm actually writing. It's a book series. So I'm actually writing in the middle of writing book 2, and it'll continue the adventure of them, building their cookie business, taking it to the next level. So the concepts we're gonna deal with are gonna be, built off of the basic concepts of the first book. So we're just going to keep leveling up with each book.
Well, as you know, in superhero movies, in the 3rd movie, they put 17 bad guys.
Yeah.
Don't throw 17 bad guys into the.
Oh, no. We're going to pay.
Can they live or not,
So, and then the other one, ABCs of Money.
Oh yeah, I think we kind of touched upon it. So that's the shorter one. That's more geared for children of a younger age group. So we're also looking forward to that for this year.
Yeah.
Oh wow, good.
But maybe I feel like Lola and Darren do a better job of explaining this. How we kind of want Taiwan Kindle to be more of like a brand. So not just stopping with like these books that we're going to put out, but kind of more focusing on like content creation that's going to be promoting the brand and promoting this like notion of financial literacy for kids, and particularly for people of our that look like us, of our background. So I don't know if you guys want to talk about that a little more.
Where were you guys when I was a kid? I had like what do we have? We had like Goosebumps.
Oh yeah,
and like Captain Underpants and shit.
Yo, for real, bro, Harry Clary. Like we had all the trash books, spy mysteries and shit. Nobody thinks about being financially literate. Wasn't fair.
That's why we are here where we are now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if any of you guys remember. Have you guys you remember actually being taught any of this like in middle school or high school? But I personally don't remember going to any courses.
I didn't get taught it until I met Edwin.
You see?
So it's like we learn about art history. We learn about like European history. Like, how is that going to help me? Yeah, we don't learn about like finance, personal finance, like some basic stuff that people need to know to succeed. And yet you want to teach me about like, I don't know,
the full story of Christopher Columbus and shit.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
I know. How do I help you pay off your student loan or know which student loan to take out?
Right.
Yeah. Oh, I find it crazy irresponsible that like college doesn't have some sort of like course teaching kids about, you know, taking out student debt, what it means, the difference between like a Stafford loan, unsubsidized loan, et cetera, et cetera. It's like, it just, I don't know. It almost seems negligent. But I mean,
so they can fuck us with money, bro. That's what they fuck us with bill. They're like, let's make these kids well-rounded. Go take another history class and shit. No finance. No, we don't offer that shit.
Yeah.
And then it's just, here are these bills.
Yeah, and it's like the colleges get paid, you know, regardless. Like these loans are backed by the Fed, so it's like whether you pay or not, they get paid. So it's like, you know, it's crazy.
So, what else are y'all building in your empire? I know when I was trying to creep and look up mad stuff on Yatu, I kept coming across your website. You guys are doing a fantastic job of hiding yourselves on the internet or keeping, you know, the good part of yourselves out there. But I know it seems you guys also have a blog and you guys are also passionate about food and things like that. Is there any other things that you two or you three are working on building as well?
So the website that kind of touches upon like the marketing aspect, right? So I know we kind of talked about the plot development, how we wrote the story, but we didn't really talk about actually the making, like how did that book get in your hands, right? So it's like the process. When we first started, you know, in 2018, when we had the book, had the manuscript, we started a Kickstarter campaign to kind of help fund. You know, we had to pay for the artists, so you have to pay for a content editor. So those things cost money. We took some of our own personal funds to pay for that as well, but we also launched a Kickstarter campaign, and we were able to get supporters. So that was good. I think we raised about like $3,500 or so. So that was a good start. However, with all of these ideas that we have, even with like marketing and other sort of content that we want to push out, that takes a certain degree of money, right, to fund those things. So we're hoping with the website, we could have an upgraded website. We could be able to produce better content on our social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram. We have a Twitter too. So just basically putting ourselves out there. So that's also part of the plan to push the Taiwan Kendall brand forward. And that takes a lot of effort. It's not easy at all, you know. And I would say that's definitely not my strong suit as well, but it's a learning process. And I think all three of us, we're learning together to say, hey, like, what are the best ways to push ourselves forward, push the brand forward, right? Yes, we have a book, but it's not just a book.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I have different ideas. I'm a filmmaker, so like I like to, and a storyteller. So I want to try different avenues for Taiwan Kende, and I started a beta for a comic strip. Like we have the drawings, and I'm just putting together the dialogue, and that's something we're gonna start releasing on Instagram, like once every week or so. And also, I haven't sold them on the idea yet, but right, I'm a real big Jim Henson fan, and I want Taiwan Kendo puppet show. I want Muppets. You see, they're laughing at me already, right? But I'm telling you, like, I would love to have like a Taiwan Kende, like Muppet show, you know, kind of like Lamb Chop or kind of like Gullah Gullah Island. Like,
I'll say do it.
Gullah Gullah Island. That's a throwback.
I'm
yeah, that was my joint. I'm sorry. When I was younger, I loved it. Even when I was older. Right? I loved it. But that's the direction we want to start taking. Taking the break.
Definitely agree. The easiest and most fun market to get into is like kid entertainment. Like think of Baby Shark. Baby Shark has billions of views, and it's a song,
Baby Shark.
It's a song about a shark just doing absolutely like it's 2 minutes of nothing, but it has billions of views.
Yeah.
I say if you want to jump into, I say do it. Jump into the Muppet, create a calm jingle, and just get these kids dancing, and you're good.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
You're good to go.
And who's that? Who's about the guy who does the A is a letter?
Jack Hartman.
Jack Hartman.
Jack Hartman. Yeah. That guy's a genius.
Yeah. He millions.
Budget.
Millions. There's There's an African American guy who's doing. His name is Desmond, and he remixes everything and puts an R&B twist on it. Mm-hmm. He's trying to become up and coming.
Right.
But I use him in my classroom. I don't know if other people are using him, but he's not. I want him to be as big as Baby Shark. I want him to be as big as Jack Hartman, and I'm just hoping for the best for him. But you can definitely that's where the money. The baby market is definitely where it is if you're looking at a financial grab or a fun financial entry. Still teaching without selling your soul.
Right. This is like the opposite of Baby Shark.
Without selling your soul. Make a song about money, music, and you're good.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's the direction we're taking it so far.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm a project manager like by trade, so I always like having a plan and being able to kind of have documented steps and like milestones and all that. So I think, once we put everything down, we have a plan, we're able to kind of run towards it, we have our resources in order. I think we'll be able to do it.
I just like to try stuff.
I think that's a good mentality to have, like just trying things, particularly if you have a character, like you have a universe. Like this could be a universe, like this could be a spin-off to other things. Like this could be like just one story in a greater, narrative, and who knows where it can go. It doesn't even necessarily have to be for children the whole time. This could spawn into other things. And one thing you mentioned that you're into filmmaking. Do you do like any writing? Like, have you thought about doing writing for television shows or screenwriting or anything of that nature?
Yeah. I've been in some film competitions. I'm actually in a film collective now, and I've done some. Like, we actually have a production company that we started this year, Visionary Station Media LLC, and that's the type of thing we want to do. So like I edit, I write, I shoot. I'm getting there with the lighting, but yeah, definitely I do all those things, and I'm hoping we can use that for Taiwo and Kende. Because at one point, Dupe did mention that she wanted to do like some documentaries and stuff, like some mini docs, and actually,
Yeah, I think it would be like, so we could kind of figure out how we collaborate on that. But I think it's important for people to see, like, in a visually, compelling way, like that gap that we're talking about, the knowledge gap. So maybe some mini documentary series. I mean, we have to find out the idea further, but kind of something that'll kind of capture that. And so maybe something about that will come out very soon too. So stay tuned.
That's such a good idea. Like, especially talking about imagine that on Netflix, and you could do it where it pulls on the heartstrings, and like, oh my God, that would be so good. That'd be so good. I mean, that's the thing when it comes to like just writing characters, you can do whatever you want with it. And then it was very interesting. I didn't even think about that, like writing a documentary about your experience, about your life, integrating that with like the greater narrative of what's going on. Like that's this is the ground floor of like something, I know so many people, creatives with good ideas, right? But they just talk about it. Like they say, oh yeah, I have X, Y, and Z. Oh yeah, this is cool. And I'm like, yeah, man, that's dope. Like, what do you do? And it's like, oh, there's usually not an answer, but it's like, it's good that you guys are actually going through it and you have so many ideas, because this can go so many different ways. Like, that's awesome.
Yeah, my wife, she isn't into ideas. I give her an idea. Yeah, okay,
I'm into ideas.
Okay, so I'm your I guess I would say I'm your typical artist where I come up with a million ideas at a time, and I was like, okay, let's try this, and I want to always try new things, and like I'll give my wife an idea, and she's very practical, so she's like, okay, right, okay, what's next, right? Did you write it down? Like, do you have a plan for it? Do you have money for it? So that kind of evens me out when it comes to that, which is why we were able to finish the book, which is why we're able to shoot things, because if I throw an idea at her, or even Dupe to a degree, it's like, okay, so what's the next step? What is the next practical step on how to complete it?
It's like she makes your abstract concrete, basically.
Yeah.
She makes your abstract concrete.
Yeah.
And I think that's what makes us a good team, though. We all have different personalities. We all bring something to the table. I mean, I have my strengths, I have my weaknesses, but we all complement each other. And I think that's kind of what's been working out for us.
Yeah, definitely.
Couple goals.
Most definitely.
So how did you all hear about the book? Because I'm curious about that, how well our marketing has been.
I saw this on LinkedIn because I'm always, I have LinkedIn on my phone. So I saw that y'all wrote a book a little while back. And then I was like, oh, this is dope. So when we started working on this together, we've been building it over a few years now. And then I was like, you know what, maybe I should start reaching out to friends from my network, like old friends. And then I saw y'all and I was like, oh, perfect. I've been thinking about y'all actually for a while, but I was just too pussy to reach out. And I was like, oh, fuck it, let me just do it.
Well, yeah, thanks for reaching out, though.
Yeah, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, thank you for coming on and just supporting the show, just sharing, just your process. You guys have big goals, and I'm glad that we got this interview, we got the scoop, the inside scoop. So years from now, everybody's gonna be like, there's no interviews on these people. I'm gonna be like, yeah, we got them. So we got dibs on your next interview after your next set of books. Definitely. I think this is really dope, and it's really, 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 really important.
Extremely.
So I'm really glad. Yeah, I want to see this at Brooklyn Tech when my kids go there. Should definitely be in more schools. This is perfect.
I have a morning meeting at 7:45 with my entire staff. I'm definitely going to promote the book and make sure that 11 years old is what? That's 6th, 7th grade? I'm definitely going to make sure my 7th graders and 8th and 9th and 10th get a hold of this, because it ties right into our ideology of using financial literacy as liberation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my favorite thing about this is that I feel like it's very relatable. Like, besides, the background family stuff, I was like, yeah, I could definitely relate to, some of the way we're feeling about, just the financial problems that were happening in the back, or, that looked like were happening in the background. And it's just a very, very approachable way. Like, my man, this is the blueprint. Watch out, Jay-Z. This is the blueprint to starting cookie stuff and lemonade stands and shit like that.
Yeah. And definitely follow us on Instagram, Facebook, again, Taiwo and Kande. Twitter too, if you're on Twitter. I don't know, are you on Twitter? Please follow us there. I think we face certain challenges, but definitely putting the word out there, reaching out, let people know what we have, and putting useful content for folks to read, watch, and consume.
I'm curious, what has been your biggest challenge? And I don't know, you all may each have different answers to that question, but what do you feel has been the biggest challenge in making this happen?
Marketing. This marketing has been the biggest challenge.
I think Dupe, would you agree too?
Yeah, I would agree with marketing. I'm definitely at this stage, I would say earlier on, we were trying to go through the route of getting published and working with a literary agent and all that. And I know Lola spent a lot of hours sending out letters to literary agents, and that that didn't pan out. So that's why we decided to self-publish, which I'm glad we did, because we might still be talking here today without actually having a book for you all to in your hands. So once we passed that hurdle, I would say, marketing, I agree.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, and then the whole traditional publishing route, we understand rejection is very, very common in this field, right? A lot of literary agents, they have certain, book topics or, what they are looking for in a book for them to kind of push out there. So, I had a certain level of expectations in terms of them reaching back out and said, hey, we want to, take your book. But it doesn't mean we're giving up. We're not giving up. We still push forward, and we will continue to push forward. So that's our mantra.
Yeah. Either way, we're gonna move forward with it. Mm-hmm. Either way, I'm not. It'd be nice to have a traditional publisher, especially when it comes to marketing. Exactly. But in terms of distribution, in terms of just getting the book out there, and just getting people to I'm good with us just owning everything, because I understand with publishers, you got to make certain compromises. Just like the music industry, to any kind of publishing, you got to make compromises to the people who buy the book from you. So, you know, there's certain subject matters that we're going to start putting in there, especially the next book that deal with issues with the Black community or within communities of color that, you know, they'll probably be a little controversial, and we don't want any publishers telling us we got to tone it down, we got to do this and that. So it's a blessing that we get to distribute it on our own, because we want control over what message gets out there.
Yeah, I think the advantage of you. Oh, I didn't mean to cut you off. Did you say something?
You're good. I'm done. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no. I was going to say the advantage of you doing it like, or at least what I would imagine the advantage of you doing it yourself is that like you at least have the foundation. You know how to do it from scratch, right? So in future projects, let's say if you do want to go a more traditional route, you can. But if that doesn't pan out, like you have the experience of going back. So it makes you more flexible as like creators, publishers, I think it's good the way you did it, because now you have the flexibility of saying, okay, maybe with this project, maybe we'll go with a literary agent or however, or distribution or whatever. So though I think even for the future, like you laid a great foundation for that by doing it yourself.
And I don't think we mentioned earlier too, but we also have our books and bookstores in Nigeria.
Yeah,
we were able to have that.
Oh, that's dope.
Yeah, and it was really nice to like hear from someone who went to college and like, hey, we saw your book in a bookstore at the airport. Yeah. Like, wow, isn't that awesome? So,
oh my God, you need to plug that so hard, like, because like no one can say that. Oh yeah, I have a book in Nigeria, bro. Like no one can say that. Like you need to plug that super hard.
Yeah. So that's so we're very happy. We're really happy with the progress so far we're making.
Absolutely. There's a market beyond America, United States. There's a whole market, there's a whole continent over there that's looking for stories like this too. You know what I mean? So, hey, if we can't get published over there, I'm pretty sure they're publishers over there. If we decide to go that route, because we like the independent route right now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure there are publishers over there that'd be more than happy to help us distribute.
Don't worry. I'm pretty sure once I bring this to the forefront of my meeting, they're going to jump to this, because we're looking for more and more Black books, man.
Oh, yeah, nice. Yeah.
Yeah, so you might get an order of 30 out of nowhere to my school. Don't be surprised.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm definitely going to tell this to... because most of the teachers and educators I know deal in the Black and Hispanic community. So definitely, this is something I'll definitely spread the word on for sure, and get them to watch this too, because not only this is just one project out of what I imagine will be many. So this is just the ground floor.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just getting started.
So, I guess are there any last words you want to put out there? Any advice to to any other authors out there just trying to do their own thing, or other entrepreneurs, or last words y'all want to say to the audience?
Yeah, sure. I mean, first I want to say thank you guys for inviting us to join here, share our story, share information about the process. We appreciate it. I would say if you have an idea, just like write it down first, because I think it helps. Once you write your idea down, you actually see it in front of you. It's more easy to visualize it. I think that kind of helped for us too.
Absolutely.
And then that's how you can easily run with it. So I'll say anyone out there, if you have an idea, you're not really sure where to start, just write it down first, and then hopefully just run with it. At least that was what helped us. I don't know if you have anything to add.
I mean, I would just say, take control of your creativity. If you feel like there's a story to be told, there's so many platforms out there that cost absolutely nothing, where you can distribute your story. You can actually get your story out there. And also, creativity doesn't have to be solitary. Like I'm learning this from working with Taiwan Kinde here, that you can write something, you don't have to write alone. It's good to have other people to bounce your ideas off of, to hold you accountable, and just go out there and do it. There's nothing really stopping you.
Yeah, and just last words from me. Thank you guys again for allowing us to come here and share our story. Follow us. Lola mentioned, I'll mention it again. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. We also like suggestions too, right? So as you're reading the book, if you think of something that you would like to see in like the next book in the series, or another spin-off, like let us know. We love ideas from our fans. So yeah, hit us up. We're always open to suggestions.